विश्व कोंकणी यूट्यूब चॅनलाच्या सकड वीक्षक वर्गातांका मेगेल नमस्कारू. मेगेल नाव CA सुष्मिता आचार्य आणि आज आम्ही आमगेल स्टुडियोन तू एक स्टुडंट सेंट्रिक प्रोग्राम करतसची. त्या कसं म्हणल्यारी आमगेला प्रोफेशनल कोर्सेसां तू रिसेंटली क्वालिफाय जाल्लेला चढू आपोनू तांनी तांगेल त्या कोर्सा कशी प्रिपेअर केलेला तांगेल एक्झाम टिप्स स्ट्रॅटेजीज ताजवेर एक पॅनल डिस्कशन. या एक कार्यक्रमाचे बेनिफिट आमगेल देशाचे एक सकट चढणुवांक जावं म्हूण सांगून त्या एक मात्र उद्देशारी आम्ही आयचे कार्यक्रम इंग्लिशांत करतसची. आमगेला व्ह्युअर्स लागी मुगेली एक रिक्वेस्ट कसं म्हणल्यारी तुम्ही ह्या एक कार्यक्रमाचे लिंक तुमगेला फ्रेंड्स फॅमिलीज नेबर्स आलोट शेअर कराती सो दॅट आमगेल पॅनलिस्टांना जी दिल्लेल इनसाइट्स तांकां एक उपयोग जावं म्हणून. So on that note, I would once again like to welcome all the viewers of our VISHWA Konkani YouTube channel to this program. As we all know, Chartered Accountancy is one of the toughest courses that our country has to offer. And we at World Konkani Center thought, why not invite a panel of recently qualified CAs so that they can share their exam tips, strategies and their success mantra with the viewers. And keeping that in mind, today we have with us 3 young, dynamic, newly qualified chartered accountants who qualified in the December 2021 attempt, and that is CA Gokul Pai, CA Drishya Kamith, and CA Kirina Kamith. I heartily welcome all 3 of you to our studio this evening. So before I give an introduction about the 3 of them and begin the program, I have a question that I'm very eager to ask all 3 of you. How does it feel to finally be a chartered accountant? So, Gokul?
To sum it up in one word, very relieved.
Drishya?
I guess that can be seen on our faces, how we feel right now. With all the hard work and all the struggles today, it feels really happy to be here.
Extremely happy to use the word of CA, that prefix in front of my name. So never imagined this would happen in my life.
So all 3 of you must be in cloud 9, so is your family. So hearty congratulations, your success is well deserved, and welcome to the other side of the profession.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now I would like to give a brief introduction of the 3 of them to our audience before we begin the program. And first up we have Kirina Kamith. She is the daughter of late Bola Krishnadas Kamith and Bola Kavita Kamith. She is from Karkala and qualified as a CA in December 2021 attempt. She completed her graduation in BCom from Alvas College, Mudbidre, and her PU from Bhuvanendra College, Karkala, and scored 10th rank in the final exam. She took her articleship training at Painayak and Associates, Udupi. Hearty welcome to you, Kirina. Next up, we have Drishya. She is the daughter of S. Baburai Kamith and Purnima B. Kamith. She is from Kumla and has completed her graduation from Besant Evening College and PU from Canara PU College, and has undergone her articleship training at CA Jagannath Kamith and Co. Hearty welcome to you, Drishya.
Thank you.
And finally, we have CA Gokul Pai. He is the son of G. Krishnanand Pai and Nandita K. Pai, and is from Gurpur. Graduated in BCom from Mangalore University and completed his BA Hindi from Dakshin Bharat Hindi Prachar Samiti. He completed his articleship under CA Jagannath Kamith and Co. and has won various management and commerce fest as his time as a student. A hearty welcome to all 3 of you once again. Let's begin the program. So one of the first questions that I have is, we all know that CA has 3 levels, that is CA Foundation, Intermediate and Final. But people say that CA Final is one of the toughest levels out of the 3. So I want to know what makes CA Final so difficult. What is the differentiating factor? So Gokul.
Well, there is definitely a differentiating factor because it is a level upscale. It's a upscale from CA Foundation and CA Inter. At that particular level, of course, it has its own importance. But if you say no, when I see from a foundation point of view, Inter will be in a upscale, and in Inter, if you, from point of view of Inter, a final will be at upscale. But if you ask me, one differentiating factor that CA Final has is the conceptual understanding that is required in CA Finals. In Intermediate or Foundation, I'm not saying that concepts are not required there, but it may somewhat of academic nature, or is somewhat in a Bachelor of Commerce or second PUC, somewhere that can be done. can adjust with that. But CA finals needs thorough, conceptual understanding. Every concept to the core has to be understood so that it helps to your professional career as well going ahead after clearing CA finals.
Okay. So Drishya, do you have any opinion on this?
I guess I agree with him. When we go up in the ladder, obviously the difficulty level will increase accordingly with that. So, and foundation, when I gave my exam, so it was a one-day exam. But when we come to intermediate and final, there are 8 subjects coming one behind the other, and the scale goes like this. One day it's difficult, and then so even managing that is also difficult when you come to inter and final. And final, yes, when you reach, once you're done with finals, you're a CA. So here it is practically you should know better and than intermediate level is what I feel.
Yeah.
So in that way it is more challenging for us to cope up with that.
Yes, I completely agree with that. So Kirina, I just wanted to ask, when did you actually start preparing for your CA final? Was it soon after IPCC or during your articleship? So when was the time you started preparing?
It was somewhere in the articleship period. Maybe what happens is during the articleship, we need some practical conceptual understanding to do the work. So how I started is reading those subjects or the topics which was actually required for audit, say FR, say Ind AS or else taxation. So all such topics I started studying. So it somehow helped me to manage work as well as I got a confidence in final also. So somewhere in the articleship I have started my studying for the final.
So Gokul, how long does it take to prepare for the CA final exam? If you could tell us the duration, how long does it take? Is 3 years enough?
Well, you're asking me a very subjective question here. But to be very honest, it depends on the amount of time you want to spend, the attempt whenever it is due, whenever you want to write it. It depends on how much time you take in understanding the concepts, how much time you want to spend on each subject. Say for example, maybe a subject like law. If you are a good reader of law or acts, you may be in a position to complete law fast. Say for example, you are not that good with practical subjects, so SFM might take a longer duration. Strategic financial management might take a longer duration. So depending on your strengths and your weaknesses, usually the time varies. But I would say ideally it is 3, maximum 4 years is a very ideal one. Again, it depends. I wouldn't say fixed amount of time. Depends on each person's caliber.
Okay. So my next question is something most students ask even today. That is, does coaching make a difference? Is it necessary that you take coaching for all 8 subjects, or you can do self-study for some and take coaching only for a few difficult topics? So Drishya?
So what I feel is there is no hard and fast rule that you need coaching for all subjects as such. So it depends person to person and subject to subject. Like there might be a person who thinks that if I go to classes and listen to a person who knows it, I can understand better. But there will be others who think I can read on my own. If I read the textbook, that is more peaceful for me. I can understand better when I read books. Then he can go for that. Again, subjects also like taxation, you use it in you learn already in inter basics of it, and you use it in your office. So there again, maybe if you think you need more in-depth knowledge, you can take coaching. And plus, if you don't take also, these are our study material is self-sufficient material, I feel. So though it is a self-study course, our ICA has given us best material to study. So if we follow that material and we can do it on our own, I don't think coaching is required. But yes, for some subjects when it is new and it is difficult for us to understand, coaching will help us. And if we don't take coaching these days, YouTube videos are there that help us a lot. Any topic you put it in YouTube, you get at least 10 videos where they give us an understanding. So in that way also that helps a lot, which I have taken help from that.
Okay. So Kirina, what is your opinion on this?
I agree to her point. Actually, I have not taken coaching as such. But what happens is few of the subjects sometimes need guidance of others. Again, it depends on people to people. Some can manage self-study. Some need the attention of somebody. So it depends on people to people. And I can tell that definitely without coaching also, passing CA final is extremely possible. And again, YouTube lectures, whenever we have any doubt, we can put it up in YouTube. So nowadays we have the biggest advantage of YouTube, what I feel. So if we have any query, just we can Google it up, or we can go to YouTube, and then definitely we'll find solution for that. So coaching is not important, what I feel, or what to say, mandatory to pass the CA final examination.
So now for those students who decide not to take coaching or just rely on maybe say YouTube videos or something available, ICI material, etc. So if you come across any doubts, okay, whom do you actually reach out to? I mean, do you have like study buddies or a group of people you reach out to, or how does that work? Kirina?
Yes. So when it comes to self-study, as you told, whenever we have doubt, what I used to do is I had set of friends with whom I used to ask the questions, or else in Telegram we can find n number of groups which is particularly for the study of the CA final exams. So what happens is, any query, if we put it up, the groups will be of the people all over the places. So what happens, one or the other person will reply to your question. So what I feel is there are a number of opportunity available even without coaching, with whom we can ask the question. So Telegram, maybe WhatsApp with your own friend. So there are so many options available.
So to basically sum up the opinion of you guys, coaching or not coaching, again, it's not a hard and fast rule that you need coaching to pass, or without coaching it is going to be difficult. It depends on your comfort level. There could be few subjects that you are comfortable with and you can manage without anybody's help there. But there could be few subjects or few topics rather where you're not comfortable, and you can probably seek out guidance. So one main question is, when I first asked you what is the differentiating factor for CA final, personally back in my days I felt the task of managing office as well as studies, because you are being put in a live environment for 3 years, okay? So doing that, coming home late and then studying for the exam, that itself becomes a little exhausting. So how did you manage your work-life balance and how did you study? So Gokul.
I started my articleship as such, and when I was in third year of my evening college BCom. So we had to spend equal amount of time in articleship, that is your CA journey, as well as BCom, and also the academical part of CA. So CA can be always two-faceted. One is the academic part, and another one is the practical part. Practical part in the sense the articleship. So that 1 year, in the third year, it was very difficult for me to cope up with the academics, because evenings I had to attend the evening college. So that one period, 1 year of period, I would say was a lot difficult to cope up. But after that, I never left the wave of I was always in that zone, I would say, rather of the academics. At least I wouldn't say exactly as such 1 hour or 2 hour, but I sorted that I would after office hours, not so in the off season kind of time, in at least for 1 or 2 hours with the academics or with any subject or book, and I sorted that I was in the zone of the academics.
Okay. So Drishya, what according to you is the role of articleship in giving your CA finals? How helpful is it, or does it actually matter how seriously you take your articleship?
Yes, it is very important, and I guess article shapes us. Exams is just what we write academically, and articleship gives actually a face to what a chartered accountant is. So when we are in inter, I'll tell my experience. I wrote tax exam. I came to articleship. I didn't even remember what I wrote in my inter exam, and here I came to know, okay, same thing I have to apply, and I thought I have to relearn everything. So that is how articleship helps us. So we apply the same thing here, and that actually helps a lot in CA final exams, especially tax, GST and all. We are constantly in that. In office itself, I guess half of our portion gets covered. The major lessons are completed in office itself. So that actually helps a lot. And plus, when we come out as chartered accountant, we already know what a CA basically does, what audit is, what we have to do later. So we have an idea what a CA has to do even before we are a CA.
Yeah. So I totally agree with Drishya on this. Articleship actually it kind of gives a boost to you in terms of your personality, and at the same time you get practical exposure, and that is very important while writing your CA final. In fact, I remember that during my audit exam there was this question that came up as a bouncer, which was not there in any of the books, but we had a similar situation that we were dealing with one of our clients, and it was like an 8-mark question, and I could answer it fluently, and that could have been the reason why I passed the exam in the first place. So it definitely does matter. So having said that, the importance of articleship, etc., Kirina, I want to ask you, what was your study plan during articleship? Would you, what subject did you start off with? Had you actually started reading for the exam?
Actually, during my articleship, I used to make sure that I am from Karkala, so I used to travel from Karkala to Udupi daily. So it was totally 2.5 to 3 hours of traveling each day. So I used to make sure that use that 3 hours maximum to my studies as well as relating to articleship. So to start with the subject, what I did is FR, that is financial reporting. I started with that subject because I got a good exposure in audit relating to FR, that is basically Ind AS. So what helped me is I got a very good confidence in that subject. Okay, so every time what happens is the first subject that you start gives a good pickup. Okay, so I started with FR, so I could manage even work life. I got a very good confidence in work life as well as in my CA final exams. So starting with that and again going for the DT, direct tax or GST, all the amendments. So what it does is we can cover the CA final portion as well as we can manage the work life and everything. So I started with FR basically during my articleship.
Okay. So Gokul, what was your study plan when the study leave started? Like, would you study numerous subjects per day? How many days did you dedicate per subject, etc.?
Well, after the time you get what you call as the study leave after articleship, roughly it's around 5 to 6 months you get every time or every office generally. So that in that 5 to 6 months, the planning you do is like, constructing a building. It's like an infrastructural project. You exactly have to plan for how many days you will need, how many subjects. Depending on your core strengths and weakness, your core values, you will decide which to dedicate how much hours or which to dedicate how many days. How I did my planning was, first and foremost, just before the day of exam, I used to, for example, if I were writing 8 subjects, I used to do a reverse revision methodology. In the sense, if the exam started on one particular day, I would take 32 days from that exam, and that would be strictly for last wrap revision or reverse revision thing. In the sense, 32 days, that is 4 days for each subject, 8 subjects, that would be deducted, and remaining part I would dedicate purely for the revision. How would I do that last revision was that, say for example, the indirect tax is the last exam. That would be revised first in the 32 days. After that, what remains is 28 days. In the next 28 days, last but one exam, that is direct tax. In doing so, on the last 4 exam, you will be there with the first exam, which will exactly correlate there, and I would know that would be the last wrap of revision and go for the studies. As far as the plan is concerned, so some huge subjects, for example, financial reporting, I would take 20-25 days, and say for example, smaller subject like costing or as such, it would have around be 20 days. That is the revision, and within I got the leave, I had almost done the first time reading or knowing what the subjects were. So, and as far as the subjects are concerned, 1 to maximum 2 subjects per day was my preference.
Okay. So, Drishya, what about you? What was your strategy? Like Gokul said, strategy is definitely important because the syllabus is so huge. You can't definitely cover 100% of it before you go on study leave, and even when you're on study leave.
Yes.
So what was your strategy? And one important question every CA student asks is, how many hours did you study per day? So what is your opinion?
So I don't have a count on how many hours I studied in a day. So I'll tell you how I planned. So when I went on study leave, I had rough idea of around all the 8 subjects. So I knew like FR is a huge subject, so it will take more time on that. So when I went on study leave, I had thought that there should be at least 3 time reading that I do before I go for exams. So I divided it into 3 parts, like first 2.5 month I'll do first time, and then 1.5 month second time reading, and last 1 month would be for the final revision as such. So once I started my first, so there again I made a weekly plan, like in a week what will I do, which subject would I pick up, and try to finish accordingly. And yes, and again I took 2 subjects at a time, because I can't study one subject the whole day. By the end of the day I would be exhausted. I feel I will get irritated with that subject. So morning I used to do with the theoretical subject, and then afternoon or evening I would start with the practical one, so that there is a balance between the subjects also, and even there will be a shift, and there is a change of mind also. So there it kept me fresh whole day to study that. So I planned in that manner.
Okay. So Kirina, what was your strategy? Are you a morning person, night person? How many hours did you study?
Okay, I am a morning person. Okay, I sleep little early and I get up very early, to be honest. So what I used to do is, it was a minimum of 10 to 12 hours, I suppose. I used to study during study leave. And how I managed is, like, I divided the whole day, and minimum 2 subject per day was my main criteria. And how I used to do is, as I've given both group together, I used to take up one subject from first group and one subject from second group. That's how I used to go with it. As she told, even I used to do one theoretical subject and one practical, so that the balance would be there, and even we will not be exhausted much, because practical needs more of practice, and theoretical you can just read it up. So that's how I used to manage. And then sometimes our targets, definitely plan is required, and sometimes plan will work out, and there are some days when plan may not work out. So it's just that whenever the plan doesn't work out, say I planned for 10 hours, if I end up say 6 hours or 7 hours, so for those 3 hours I used to make sure that next day I work out for those 2 hours or something, whatever the balance part. So that's how I managed to study. So
Okay.
that was my plan.
So each one of them had a different strategy of their own. They built it as and when they progress. So there is no one set strategy to ace your exams. You have to listen to everybody's opinion and then come up with your own plan, and I'm sure success will be yours. Yeah. Now, one question again, another famous question is, would you revise every day at the end of the day? Or would you just keep skimming through the subject once, and then, after the first reading, you would do the revision? So, Gokul?
Okay, this question I will answer it and how I dealt with wherever I had, I was kind of stuck in a topic or a concept. I couldn't do the novel kind of reading, one reading at a time. No, it's again, some people can, some people, but for me it was like I understood a concept. If I did not understand a concept, I would be stuck there for hours. So somehow I wanted to get it clarified, maybe YouTube, maybe seniors, or somehow I would get it clarified, then go ahead with it. But in some places you are not able to get the answer, or find the answers, then you'll have to specifically mark that area and keep it aside so that you can solve it later on. And what can be done when this, for example, एक विषय असं, त्या विषयी तुमका कळली तर त्या कांडावर काय जातं की नाही. सो या कसं करू ताका अब नेक्स्ट विंगड सब्जेक्ट आवताच त्या माथे खाता असतं, that will be always there. Okay, I did not get that. There's one thing that every student gets. Usually this too shall pass. The best strategy I would say, while I was stuck, this too shall pass. And automatically, like you asked, at the end of the day, or by the end of the subject, was because the doubt I had in that particular area would have been solved going further in that chapter, or say that topic. So to hold on to the things you don't understand, to hold on to your doubts, is one of the more challenging work than to revise the places where you have confusions as such. So my thing was that concept by concept or topic by topic was my strategy in revising each subject.
Okay, so basically to sum up, you are saying that there's a thin line of difference between holding on to a doubt and letting your brain work on it in the background than just skipping it altogether.
Exactly.
So that is what Gokul has to say. Now, another question is, did you, Drishya, I want to ask this one to you. Did you make notes for every subject?
I didn't make for every subject as such, but yeah, theoretical subjects I've made. Audit, law, I used to write notes, at least at least in audit I used to write the law section number or something, so that I can revise sometimes when I'm not bored or I don't want to concentrate on something and sit with that or understand any subject. I don't want to do that. So that I can simply turn pages and the thing keep on revising in your head. And these days you get the recordings of every half an hour recordings for every lesson. So when I'm bored or I'm not so much into books, so I just listen to that. So in that way the things keep on going on in my head, and that way the revision also used to happen for me.
Okay. So Kirina, with respect to practical subjects, did you solve each and every problem, or would you just skim through? Because solving each and every problem takes time. So what was your strategy in that aspect?
Okay. So what I did is, for the practicals, we think that when we just skim through the problem and solution, it is enough. But when we actually write the exam, that time we realize that actually solving the problem is very much required. Even though you know the solution, we may be stuck somewhere. So what I feel is practice is definitely required. What I used to do is, in the beginning, whenever I go for study leave or before that, I used to solve it. Okay, but when it comes nearer to the exam, definitely if we start solving the problem, it needs so many time. Right. So what I did is, in the beginning, in the initial time, I tried to solve as much as possible. Actually, in the first attempt, the main problem of mine was I used to just skim through the problem. So what I did this time is, I was just trying to practice more and more. It just speed up your time. You will be able to manage your time more efficiently during your exam time. So that 3 hours is extremely important. So solving more and more makes you more perfect, and even you will be more clarified with the topic or the subject or the problem, whatever it is. It gives you more confident, what I feel, rather than just skimming through the problem or the solution. And for the simpler questions, definitely if we start solving it, it will take a lot of time. So just make a firm decision as to what is difficult, what is easy, and according to your preference, definitely solve a good number of questions from each chapter, so that you'll get a hold in a particular chapter or the subject. That is what I did.
Okay. So now let's move on to the exam day strategies. As you all know that CA exams have just 1 or 2 days, 2 days if you're lucky, gap between each of the exam. So I'm sure a lot of anxiety builds up. So what was your state of mind on the previous day of the exam? How did you cope up with the anxiety there? Gokul?
Well, I have a funny way to describe this. If you consider our CA journey as Mahabharata, that exam day I can call it as Kurukshetra, the 16-day long exam that goes. As I told you, from the day you get the exam leave, it is like building an infrastructural project, or say a very good amount of strategy required there. So, as I told you, just 1 month before, that is 32 days before the exam, I'll start my reverse revision. And during that time, I allot 4 days for each of the subject. And during that time, I will decide what to do on the previous day of exam, minute to minute. In the sense, morning usually I'll wake up from the usual time. I'll wake up earlier than the usual time. And then from there, minute to minute, what I should do, which are the sections I should check, which are the case laws I should check, which formula, which chart. To be very frank, it is 1.5 days, in the sense, even the 0.5 days on the morning of the exam. So I would know exactly do which chapter to be done, which when, it is rather to do important chapter during the previous day morning when you're fresh. And keep, you can segregate A, B, C, the chapters which are important and very less important in each subject. So the less important one usually to be done after the evening in the evening session. So that's how I managed the Kurukshetra, or the prolonged exam session.
So Drishya, what was your strategy on the previous day? First, I want to understand what was your state of mind. Were you anxious? Were you confident?
No, yeah, I was confident when I started, but yes, when the exam, not all exam go how we want it. So now, as I told, it goes up and down. Some will be fine, and some are like too bad for us. So actually, managing that is most important, because one day you come that goes bad. Sometimes we tend to think about that way, that we don't prepare for the next exam. So managing our anxiety is most important at those 16 days. And what I did was, when I was preparing for my, during my study leave, during my last revision, I made a list like which are the lessons which I have to read on the previous day, which is little difficult or confusing, or which I don't remember for a long period. So I made a list of those things which I have to revise, and then a list which is, I will revise, but then I am confident that even if I don't go through them, it's okay, because I'm confident that if that comes for exam, I can do it. So that at last, even if I can't complete it, so that when I go for exam, I feel okay, I've revised everything and I can do this. So that's how I manage my 1.5 days. And the day of exam, I used to see to it, I do the formulas or rates, I go through all those on the day of exam.
Okay. So, Kirina, my question to you is, I'm sure that not all exams go well, because I mean, you have to be really lucky if all 8 of your exams go well. So, suppose you had like a bad exam day where you did not where you couldn't finish the answers on time, where you knew everything but you couldn't finish, or the most difficult paper on earth came for your attempt. So, how did you pull yourself through? Because it's very hard, you have prepared for 6 months, and then despite all the hard work, a very difficult exam paper comes by. How did you pull yourself through and prepare for the next exam?
Okay, so this happens with everyone. So all the 8 papers, as you rightly pointed out, will never go as we expect. So even during my attempt also, I had a few papers which were actually tough. So at a point of time, soon after I finished that toughest exam, come out of the hall, sitting in a bus, going to my home, that was the time wherein I was like very much tensed and feeling very bad, that even though after studying for so many hours, sleepless night and so on, this paper went very bad. Yeah. So what we can do is, definitely we need to control that emotion, because it is just about stress. The more we take stress about that paper, even the next paper, even though it is extremely easy, you will, with your nervousness, you will, may not be able to write it in a way that you have prepared. So what I did is, I used to talk once with my mom or sister about the paper, telling everything about that, whatever my emotions. Okay, and with one of my friends, just calling and telling within that 1 hour of distance, so that when I reach my home, I'll be like forgetting about that paper. Okay, however it went, it's okay, I will pass. Because what happens is, the mistake that we do is, we will predict our result way before it is coming. Yeah, so my principal used to say that result is not in our hand, so forget about that. So what is there in your hand, you just think about it. So the preparation, or studying is in our hand. So what I did is, forgetting about the paper. Definitely it is easy to tell, but try to forget the things that is already done. The paper we have already given, so now we cannot change it, right? And what I observed is, the more tough the paper is, the better marks we get. So it is simply, we have a notion that if the paper is tough, definitely we will fail. So it is not of that. Okay. So instead of focusing on what went, we can focus on future, so that even though if we get that just pass mark in that toughest subject, writing the coming paper in a better way, we can get exemption, and somehow we can balance, and definitely we can clear. And this is out of my experience. One of the paper was extremely difficult. Even I was tensed for that paper, and luckily I cleared that. For adjustment of the balance of the marks, as I wrote other papers very good, I could manage somehow. So that's how, if we manage that stress, everything is possible according to me.
Yeah. So this notion of students asking that 5 to 6 months study leave is not enough. Even if you're granted 12 months or 2 years of study leave, one or the other paper is definitely going to be difficult. I remember during my time, I think I had a direct tax paper, and out of 100 marks, I attempted say 50 marks, okay, because I was blanked out. There will be situations where you are completely blanked out. So I just wrote 50, and I came home crying, saying that people who write 100 marks also, they don't score 40. There's no chance I'm going to get 40 in this. My entire group 2 is gone. But then my parents assured me that, okay, you take the next exam as a challenge. I mean, try to get an exemption. Then I realized when I got my results, out of 50, I had gotten 48. I don't know how that happened, but I just focused because I had finished writing my exams in 1.5 hours. So I spent the next 1.5 hours in just checking and rechecking the entire thing. So these are last minute strategies that you need to salvage the situation, and make sure that you emerge out of it successfully. Now, Gokul, I have one question for you. That is, what is the criteria? We all know that in the new syllabus, there is this concept of choosing elective papers. So, what elective did you select, and how did you research on it?
Initially, when I was about to select my elective paper, and by the way, my elective paper is International Taxation, that is paper 6C. Initially, when I selected that, there were a lot of notions behind it. Antu pass percentage chad, Purujan Akvarta Sachi. I actually was about to fall for that, but then I actually tried to do some kind of research. There are six electives. One, of course, is multidisciplinary, and others have their own strong backing. Say, for example, there is Global Financial Reporting Standard, which is backed by financial reporting, accounting. The one which I took was International Taxation, Direct Tax, and one there is something called as Financial Service Capital Market, which is based on share markets. My interest from the beginning was towards direct tax, that is taxation, and also while doing an articleship, rightly said in the initial stages that you learn what a CA does before becoming a CA. That point of time during my articleship, I got to know there is something called as treaty, wherein two international countries do some signing and all those things. To read more about this, we need to know international tax. This interested me from that point of time. So then onward, that was my main criteria, which interested me. So my interest was towards international taxation. That is why I chose international taxation. If your interest is in share market or as such in capital markets, you can go for FSCM, that is Financial Service Capital Market, or say there are other economic law. If you are interested in law or reading of acts and all, then you can go for economic laws. And I would be very happily telling that I got into one of the big fours in the same corporate and international tax. So choose your electives very wisely depending on your interest.
Okay, so Kirina, what was your elective, and did you do any research? Did you talk to, was yours the first batch which had electives, or did you talk to your seniors? Okay, so how did you finalize on your elective?
Okay, so my elective was economic law. So before taking up any decision, definitely we need to talk to people, experienced one, and again it depends on people to people, their interest and everything. My criteria was, what I did is, I was just looking through the syllabus, the volume of it. Ultimately, my aim was, to be frank, to clear it, right? So I was like just going through the volume of the syllabus, how it is. So I was just looking through all the papers, how it is, one thing. And second thing, as he rightly pointed out, what happens is, few of the topics will be having it in other subject. Say for example, economic law, and in the group 1 we have law paper. So there were common chapters. So I make sure that how many chapters are common, so that what happens while preparing, you can you will get extra time for that. I mean, you can keep little less time for this particular subject, because you have already studied few of the topic in other subject. So that was my second criteria. First was volume of the syllabus. Second one was how many chapters were common in other subject. And third was about managing practical and theory. So some are of theoretical who are interested in theory, and some are in practical. And again, economic law is there in group 2. So what I did is, it is my personal observation, or it is out of my experience, what I did is it was all tax, direct tax, indirect tax. So even I wanted some theoretical theory paper to manage everything, because too much of practical in group 2 was a little heavy for me. So what I did is economic law was suitable in all the angle for me and according to my preference. So that's how I managed with these three criteria. Was according to these three criteria I took economic law.
Okay. Okay. So, Drishya, my question to you is, did you take mock tests or did you practice, there are mock tests arranged by the institute, and then you can take mock tests at your home. You just create an environment, lock your room, set the timer for 3 hours and you do it. But have you done that, or did you just directly go to the exam hall?
So I was not that confident enough to directly go to exam hall. So I thought, I have taken mock tests. I have written 1 or 2 mock tests for each subject. So I sat for 3 hours. I used to tell my mom not to call me out. So I used to sit in my room, write for 3 hours. So that actually helps us a lot. So I feel taking mock test is, I can tell this is actually compulsory. I feel that all students should take up at least once, at least to understand that, if you can complete the paper in 3 hours, and if you can't be mentally prepared that it is not that possible. Like 3 hours completing a paper is also a difficult thing. So time management will learn time management only by writing a paper and understanding it. So writing mock test is really important, and also make sure that what I feel is take mock test not to the end when just you have 10 days for exam, not to take it that time. Take it at least 1 month before, or after 1 or 2 times you finish revision, take it up then, because along with time management it will help you to self evaluate where you stand, which topic you are good at, which topic you need to more concentrate more now. And plus one more thing is, when you take mock test, there might be chances that you don't know anything, and you just blank out, and then you feel stressed out or anxiety that, oh God, I don't know anything. I have only 10 days for exam and I don't know anything. So if you take it prior and before the exams, you have time to again study, again revise and again go through things. And when you study again, okay, when I took the mock test, I didn't know this properly. So let me read that again. So in that way also it helps us a lot. So I guess mock test is kind of required for everyone. If you can't go to institute, take those, you get the papers online from their website, you get the solutions also. And plus when you take mock test, you write the answers, you evaluate from your ICI paper, you understand how ICI expects you to write the paper. We write, maybe we have written the correct answer, but you get that presentation you learn only when you actually take the test, and you see how ICI wants you to write. No, it's not that ICI gives marks only when you write how they want. They understand how the student writes also, but still that will you can get 1 or 2 marks extra. That might help you to clear your exams. So I guess in that way mock tests are really important, and it has helped me a lot.
So Drishya has actually made a very fair and critical point, that is to take the mock test at least 1 month before your exams, because if you take it on the previous day or a week before and you end up not answering it well, it will be a bane, not a boon. You will get scared for no reason, and all your 6 months preparation will go down the drain. So I think this one tip every student should follow. Plan your mock tests in such a way that you take it at least 1.5 months in advance, so that you get more time to improve yourself. Now Drishya also pointed out about the presentation skills. So Gokul, I want to ask you, there are these 15 minutes that you get as soon as you get your question paper. They'll give you 15 minutes to read it. So what was your mindset in that 15 minutes? Did you just read the first question and would you start thinking answer for it, or would you go through the entire paper and plan your sequence of answering questions?
Yeah, the first 15 minutes plays a crucial role in your next 3 hours of the examination. It is like at that point of time, at that 15 minutes, you have to set your mind to exactly where you're going for the next 3 hours. So usually, whenever the subject comes, first question is a compulsory one, and from the rest of the 5 questions, you'll have to write 4 questions. Usually, however you have to write the first compulsory question, so I would start from reading from the second question. Okay. So second question, then what I used to do, however you're getting 15 minutes, so in the 15 minutes I directly went to the required part of the question, that is the last part of the question. Usually I'll get what this question is trying to task, or which chapter or which topic or which the concept this question is targeting, and from there question 2, question 3, question 4, question 5, question 6 I'll read. So now roughly I know from which part of the subject the questions are being asked. So from there onwards I'll decide which is my best, I know best, because 5 out of 5 you should write 4. I select which is the best I know, or the strongest area of my studies. So best one, best number 1, best number 2, best number 3, best number 4, and the least best, or I would say the worst one, that I would select as the one which I'll skip, and the 4 which I've selected as the first best 4, I would write it, and that is how I would do my. And the first 2 questions should be my best of the best. So that is how the 15 minutes I would allocate for the next 3 hours.
So, Gokul, you mean to say that you try to understand the crux of the question, the call of the question,
Exactly.
what they are trying to ask,
Exactly.
so that you are not surprised as you go ahead in the paper. So that's a very good strategy. I wish I knew it earlier. I would have scored additional 10 marks for that. So, Drishya, I have the same question for you. So, what was your strategy on the day of the exam/battle, I would say?
On the day of the exam, first, as I told you earlier, I had prepared what I would do on the day of exams, maybe the formulas, the rates, all that I used to go through. And the main thing on the day of exam is to stay cool, to stay composed. Because if you start stressing out from the morning, by the time it is 2 o'clock, you're out. Okay, so try to be cool and talk to, if you feel stressful or anxiety, talk to your parents or something, so that they'll help you out to stay calm. So that would be the main thing, and then just revise whatever you had planned, and then just go to exam hall. And what I used to do is, once you keep your books out, try not to think about the subject. 10 minutes you have to sit with just waiting for the question paper. Try not to think of the subject, because you think of one question, and if you can't remember that, then in the entire subject you feel, okay, what if this question comes, I won't be able to answer. So better not to think about the subject, because anyway you can't go out and check the answer. So better not to think about that time, during that time. And once you get the question paper, think only what is there in the question paper. Think only about that. And as he told, I used to, the first compulsory question I would not see, because anyway we have to read it later and solve. So see the other 4 questions, see which is the strongest question for you, which is the best which you know, the strong part of yours. So answer that, because the first answer puts the biggest impact on your evaluator. So first answer you do it well, he might think that, okay, this person knows, try your luck. So maybe that will help us. So, and that's all in the 15 minutes, because you have to also write your OMR sheet, mark, all that is also to be done in 15 minutes. So you don't get much time. So try to decide on these stuffs and then answer your paper.
Okay. So now I have a $1 billion question. Did you quote section numbers in your answer sheet for your law or taxation?
Yeah.
Kirina?
Yeah. So what I did is, few of the important sections, I suppose, that is to remember. Okay. Only that, not subsection and everything, because quoting a wrong subsection or section makes a disaster. Instead of that, whatever you know, just quote it. If you are 100% confident, only that time you just quote the section, I suppose. So what I did is, important section I used to remember. Only if I have very confident in that particular section, then only I used to quote it. Otherwise, as per the relevant section, we know that how to write it, right? Relevant section of this particular act. And I used to make sure that name of the act, especially in law, because we have multiple acts. So name of the act and the year, that I used to make sure that it is perfect enough, so that as per the relevant section of this particular act. So that's how I used to make a sentence if I was not sure about the section. So that's how I did it.
Okay. So another critical question is, did you have cheat days? Gokul, how did you keep yourself motivated for those 6 months? Were there days where you did not study at all, or where things did not go as per your plan?
Yeah, there were a lot of days wherein we are not able to study, we are not able to concentrate, or like I told earlier, you are stuck in one place, but then later on you get to know. So that actually eats up a lot of your time. So there weren't as specific note tomorrow I'll take off as such, because I will decide I'll revise this which I studied 2 weeks back. So it was not exactly a cheat day or a rest day, but a lesser revision day as such. Coming to the part wherein you asked whether you'll be reading for the whole 6 months. No, there were times when okay, what was I doing during that rest day or the cheat day? Usual YouTube, maybe going out with family. Very important. Keep your mind relaxed, because just by hitting the axe it doesn't work. You'll have to sharpen the axe as well. So going out with friends occasionally, again, that shouldn't be a habit. And I saw to it that my mind wasn't diverted towards that thing. Say for example, I went out with friends. I'm not diverted towards that. At the back of the mind, the studies and the goal of completing the exam should always be there. Was there?
Okay. So Drishya, how did you keep yourself motivated? Did you have any hobbies or any cheat days?
There was no cheat day as such. I would try myself to sit, but yes, it is not possible to whole day sit, complete 6 months. Obviously, it is not possible. So I used to go out with my parents, go out for a drive, to go to beach with them. So in that way, Sundays or something, evening go out, talk to them, talk some jokes, and so that way I kept myself out of the books for some time. Because if you do that, next day you'll be more you can study in a better way is what I feel. It gives you more strength and you feel refreshed when you go back to books. And sometimes when you waste time on these things, that regret will make you study again. So that also helps in a way. That's it.
So Kirina, what about you? How did you keep yourself motivated?
Yeah, as they rightly pointed out, continuous 6 months of study may not be possible for all the person again. So there were some days when I was not able to read, or definitely functions or any of the events, I suppose, in the family wherein we need to attend. It is like a compulsion. Okay, so that time what I used to do is I used to make sure that I will use some other day, put in more extra efforts, increase my study hours on that day, so that I could attend this function, which function or any of the occasion for that matter. What I used to do is, whenever I used to feel very lonely or tired or something, I am music lover, so I used to listen to music. So that used to make me feel very calm, okay, relaxed, so that I could buck up with my studies. And again, I used to go to temple whenever I used to be like feel lonely or something. Just going to temple, walking and around, coming back. That used to make me feel really fresh, so that I could sit and start again. So definitely there would be 1 or 2 cheat days. We are not definitely a machine, right? So continuously how our laptop or PC works, so I don't think so that is possible. But it is just that we should make sure that we will not be off for a longer time. That's it. So small breaks or a small cheat day, what I feel, is definitely required sometimes to be relaxed.
So Gokul, my question to you is, a lot of kids complain these days that social media is a big distraction. Was that the case for you?
Oh, definitely it was. Social media during exam time, you will never know it is a distraction, but it is a distraction. In a way, I'll tell you, like during my exams, I used to shift my WhatsApp to other number. Definitely uninstall. That is the ritual as of CA students. Uninstall Instagram, Facebook, all such other social media apps. During what happens exactly is you just go for 5 minutes. Inside I'll check once. Without you knowing at all, half an hour to 1 hour lost. That is a very valuable time you lose during that 6-month time when you are studying for your exams. And one more thing which I noticed is, and this is now being talked a lot, is the attention span time. Whenever you are reading for your CA final exam or any subject for that matter, any topic for that matter, I had to concentrate or be very patient to understand that topic, understand that concept, and be very focused. What the social media does is, you quickly press something, something appears. So immediate gratification, or the attention span of our understanding of anything or knowing something is very little. So that would completely distract me or disturb me while understanding these concepts. It was like, why am I not understanding it sooner? Why am I not understanding this sooner? This was the impact subconsciously imparted by social media. So I kept myself very far away from social media during my revision period.
Okay, so Drishya, was social media a distraction for you?
Yes, it becomes a distraction, because there is, for now, it is not a day passes where we don't open Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. So it has become a part of our lives. So, but when it comes to your studies, you have 5 or 6 months and you have 8 subjects. It's so much to study. You cannot, afford to lose that time in social media. As he told, once you open, you watch a reel and then continuously you keep on swiping. You don't even know how long you're swiping. So I guess we have to try to avoid as much as possible. And the attention, we cannot concentrate much, and it's like a runaway. I can't understand, you feel irritated, okay, let me see 2 minutes. That way you simply go to social media. Try as much as avoid that, because time lost, now you'll not get it back. Again, the next 6 months come, next 6 months. So try to keep it away. The post, whatever is there, whatever reels, whatever is trending will again come after 6 months. So see all that later is what I would tell.
So that reminds me of the time when I had uninstalled 7 years ago. Instagram wasn't a thing, thankfully. So I had uninstalled my WhatsApp and Facebook, and I found the most least used app, that is Google Hangouts. The reason I wanted that, and I just didn't stick to SMS, we could send photos of the question to, I had like one study buddy. So I would send the questions to her, and only she knew that I was on Google Hangouts, and everybody was lazy to come on Google Hangouts and text me. So, this is something every CA student does, either change your number and give it only to the study buddy and your family. So my last question to you, last but one question I would say is, as you all rightly pointed out, it is very critical to be motivated. It is very critical to stay inspired during this 6 months, and actually not just the 6 months, throughout your CA journey, right from your CA foundation until the day of your result. Okay, so who was your guide, who was your support system during these 3 critical years? Yeah, Google.
Well, throughout my CA journey, my parents, my mom, my dad, and my sister, I call her Tangu, they have been my backbone. Okay, to be very honest, to be very frank, I dedicate this chartered accountancy degree to them, because they have been throughout from the beginning. Apart from that, throughout my journey, the Canara associations and the Canara Evening College, where I did my evening college, have been a strong support in my CA journey. Then the Articleship where I did, that was Sir M. Jagannath Kamath and Co, has helped me a lot to understand the CA elements and in many other ways. And ultimately, academically, there is a person called as CA Nagbhushan Pai sir, who runs an institute called as the 36th Chamber, he teaches financial reporting, auditing, who is a very good coach, but he helped me throughout all other 8 subjects to know how to go through about this subject or that subject, or whenever I was in my low, as you rightly pointed out that time, that you need motivation as such. He used to tell me what I was doing wrong, what could be done, the direction would be set right. So I would like to tell these people were my guide, mentor, and teachers throughout.
Okay, Kirina, who was your support system?
Yeah, not a single person, I would say. My mom and sister, they were like behind me every time. So if it was a good day, bad day, anything it could be, they were there with me every time. And I got a very good support from them. They never pointed out at me or never had a question or doubt whether I clear or not clear or anything. So I had a very good support system from them. And apart from that, my principals, Pai sir and Naik sir, they used to make sure that even before we go to study leave, especially throughout the articleship journey, and especially before that 6 months or 7 months, they used to make us full motivated as to Vajicha Sur Kelva, like did you start studying for the finals, how it is going, and so on. So that used to make me more serious about CA final. And even during my study leave, they used to call sometimes and they used to inquire as to how we are doing, so that we will not be lost in our own world. So they used to make sure that they call us and they used to ask us how we are, how it's going, and whether we are on the right track or not. So I used to feel very happy that somebody is there to watch you, or somebody is there to motivate you or guide you other than your family. So I am very lucky for that matter, because my principals both were very cooperative, and they were encouraging me more and more, I suppose, for the finals.
Okay, Drishya?
Okay, so for me, I want to thank God for always keeping His blessings on me, and then my parents, they were my greatest support system for me, and my the way they inspire me to keep working hard. My dad's life, I have learned from his life experiences that ups and downs is a part of our life. So it might be in exams, it might be in life. So ups and downs keep coming. So our work is just to keep working hard, try to do what we have to do, and leave the rest on God. So that has always he has always motivated me to keep doing what I have to do, and not later regret that I should have done this. So he has been a great motivation for me. And then yes, my sister also, she has been like my support system. Like whenever I'm feeling low or I feel I can't do it, I used to call her and talk to her. She used to always keep me pushing, and tuk jatta odna, she used to keep telling me that. And then yes, my sir Jagannath Kamath sir, he also trusted me that I remember him telling that I believe that Drishya will clear in her first attempt. So he had that trust in me. That also like pushed me. Okay, even he thinks that I can clear fast, so I have to work hard and see to it that I do it. So that also had inspired me a lot. He kept asking like coaching, are you taking coaching, or are you studying at home, study every day. So every time he has kept a check on that. Along with the work, students also concentrate on their studies. So he had all students should clear in their first attempt is what he used to tell, and all other partners in our firm also have kept motivating me, kept asking which subject I am doing, what is happening, is there any doubt, come to us, we'll help you out. So they have always been with me, and my friends, so they have also helped me a lot during my exams.
Okay, that's very heartwarming to know, and it's whatever you guys just pointed out. These are people who who motivate us and who are selfless. So I can understand your emotions. So on that note, I would like to ask, how did you communicate your results to them on the result day? Were they right behind you while you were checking your results, or did you call them up and tell it? So I want to know the story. Gokul?
Well, that's quite embarrassing for me. I will not tell. But anyhow, I was waiting for the results. I was taking some classes for the company secretary's tax laws. So after classes, the results came at 1. The classes completed at 12:30. After classes, I just came home, and I was seeing the result. That is a refresh from a long time. The result came PSS pass. That moment, that feeling is totally different. The whole journey, I couldn't control myself. I became very emotional and went to my mother. Seeing me, my mom thought, no, it was not. Okay. And then I told Amma, pass Allah, and even she cried, hugged me, sister. Then I informed my dad. It was a very emotional and very heartwarming moment for me and my family.
So Drishya, what was your story?
So my story, like when I checked, like I didn't go to see whether the result came or not. So around 1:30 I went and saw, like I just refreshed whether the result is out, and I saw that screen. Like I was like for 1 second I was blank. I didn't know what to do. Then I ran to my sister because all my CA results from my CPT till my last exam, my sister checked my results. So I went and gave her the laptop, see, check my result. So she checked the result and she was like, pass. I didn't see the screen, nothing. I started crying there and she shouted like, Amma Drishya, pass jaldi. So my mom came, my mom also started crying. I called my dad, I video called him, and when I told pass, he was also crying. No, not every time, dad, don't cry so easily. So that was actually, he was so emotional, he started crying over there. So I guess how much ever time you take, the hard work, the day you see that result, PASS pass, I guess nothing can, nothing matters later. So once you see that, you forget whatever the, how much ever time is gone, you forget that, and this day will always remember, you'll always remember, will be the precious day of your life.
Okay, so Kirina, what about you?
Yeah, so as they rightly pointed out, I'm just recalling that day when I saw my result as pass. So my mom was right behind me. So I was crying and telling her pass jaldi. But she was like, why are you crying if you're pass? So that was the reaction. And then my sister is working in a bank. So I immediately called up, I was crying, how pass jaldi, and I again crying. So she was tensed enough and I was like, attayo. She had so many work. She left there and she directly came to the house and we were like celebrating and together pass Jonitya. But that moment we'll never forget in our life. That 4-letter of PASS, definitely. And soon after, when I informed my sister and my mom, the first thing that comes up to your mind is your principals, your sir. So immediately I called both the sir. On that day actually there was a function, so both of them went to a function. So when I called to Pai sir, it was not reachable. So for the first time I was like very much curious to call someone and tell that I'm pass. So immediately calling both the sir, one after the other, to tell that I am pass. And the reaction that they gave, Jalli na mama. So that was a biggest relief, I would say. So that's how I communicated it to my family and my sirs.
I actually got goosebumps listening to all your stories. A funny incident I would share from my, now that you have shared, I'm keen to share mine. So we didn't, internet back then didn't have strong connectivity and all of that. So I never checked my results. So I had my friend in the office and my principal was he could access the website. So he checked it, he called me up and he said, "Tu pass jalya." And I was like, "Bhai, pass jala." Okay, I was fine because I couldn't process it. I called up my father and my mother. My father kind of believed. My mother was, "Bada pass jala." Bada pass jala. I got scared and then I called up my sir again. He's like, "I will send you the proof. I will send you the screenshot of that." And then again my parents were asking, to bada pass jala, because I had actually cried so much on that exam that I told you. Then I sent that screenshot to my mom and she was finally happy, and then my principal was like, "Tu proof di na shi tu kasane namgarna." So that I'll never forget that day, and like you guys pointed out, it is a very special, very close to the heart. Even when you're 8 years old, you're not going to remember, you're not going to forget the feeling that you had on that day. So my last question is your message to the CA aspirants who are going to write their exams maybe in the coming May. So is there some tips that you would give? Like, for example, I'm sure that we don't do things perfectly. Is there some mistake or something that you felt you could have done better, or a general message to them? Gokul?
Well, from my experience of my CA journey, be it your any studying of something, or be it your CA journey, or be it life, sometimes you will be at the pinnacle of accomplishment, sometimes you will be at the rock bottom of failures. But remember one thing, your life is not a straight line, it is a wave. If you are down today, you will be up one day, and if you are up one day, don't be at the egoistic level, because you might be brought down one day. So accept the things as they are, never lose hope, don't give up is what I would say. And as far as exactly to pinpoint if one mistake that students usually do is, stick to the ICA study material, because that has helped me a lot, because that was a mistake that I did, wherein I took the reference material as the main material, and main material, the study material as the reference material, I would rather say always use the study material as the main material and reference material for reference itself. And all the best for all the upcoming CA aspirants. Thank you.
Yeah. So Drishya, your message?
My message, I would say, like as you're studying, this is the time that you can give your 100%. So as I told earlier, hard work is, and we can do, that is all we can do. We can just study and be prepared for what is going to come in future. So be ready for it, ups and downs. One day you feel motivated to study, next day you feel you can't study at all. Maybe sometimes by the end of the day you feel exhausted, you don't feel like study, you feel you'll fail. So that happens to every CA student. Even what happened, I can still recall what used to happen to me. So that happens to everyone. So it is not only with you that it is happening. Just believe in yourself that you can do it. Manage your time, manage your stress well, and be with your parents, spend time with them. They will constantly be your motivation. You don't need anything else for motivation. So all the best, and hope you pass with reach great heights. Thank you.
Kirina?
Yeah. What I would like to say is believe in yourself. Everybody can do that. It is not like a person who is very good at academics, maybe got 95-97% in PU, only that person can do it. It is nothing like that. Put your 100%, put the best efforts, definitely luck will follow you. I had a mind that only if we have a luck then we can clear. But if you put your 100%, then definitely luck will follow to you. And one more thing is, don't be stressed. Even I was extremely stressed. It is easy to tell, but stress definitely may lead to the failure. So instead, be very calm, don't be nervous, try to be more confident. See, all of us, when it comes to final, definitely every part of the CA, we will be definitely serious enough. But when it comes to CA final, definitely we'll be putting 100% effort. But it is just that because of our nervousness or tension, we go to failure. And again, failure is a stepping stone to success. We all know that. So it is a matter of time sometimes. If you don't clear this time, definitely there is one more attempt, right? So you can definitely clear that. It is a matter of time. And when you get that 2-letter CA, it is unvaluable, I suppose. So the most happiest day in your life. So just think about passing off the same. Don't be result oriented. Now only you don't decide you will fail, you will pass or something. Put your efforts, then definitely you will get success. So be confident every time. Don't lose your hope, even though if the paper goes not as expected by you. So prepare well, stay calm, stay focused. That's it. That is a message to all of the people who are attempting for the exams, and all the best everyone.
So thank you Drishya, Kirina and Gokul. I had an amazing time with you guys, and you answered each and every question in a detailed manner. Maybe CA has trained you well. So I'm sure that the viewers, the CA aspirants who are watching this will definitely be motivated by you. And I hope and pray तुम्ही आता तुमगेल प्रोफेशनल करियर स्टार्ट करता सती तुमगेल स्टूडेंट लाइफ आनी तुमकां कितले सक्सेस मेळ्ळा ताजे 2 वंटा सक्सेस तुमगेल प्रोफेशनल करियरा मेळ्ळो एंड आई होप यू कीप इंस्पायरिंग पीपल अराउंड यू and reach great heights. On that note, I would like to thank all 3 of our panelists, and at the same time I would like to thank all the viewers of our YouTube channel for staying with us for this program. And good evening, and sarve jana sukhino bhavantu.